Alright, man. Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy, Derek Brown, back with another video. And today, man, we are watching this death battle versus everybody know him. He's part of the big three. We got Ichigo versus somebody else I really do not know, but I want to get into this anime, so let's get straight into this death battle. I gotta go with the guy I know. I'm going with Ichigo.
Ichigo Kurosaki versus Yusuke Urameshi.
The substitute Shinigami of Bleach versus the spirit detective of Yu Yu Hakusho. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle.
Who y'all got, man? Say it in the comments.
Tell me, Boomstick, what happens when we die?
Endless nothingness? Jeez, man, I don't know. We just started.
Our souls are ferried by Shinigami, gods of death, in an eternal cycle of death and rebirth.
That was my second guess.
And when a soul goes astray, warped by evil and regret, it's a Shinigami's job to purify such violent hollows and send them off to the realm of the dead, the Soul Society.
Works great till it doesn't. Enter Ichigo Kurosaki, whose tragic anime backstory came way too early when his mom was killed by a hollow. Reason number one why you should never want your kid to be the anime protagonist.
Left with his grief, young Ichigo was crushed under the weight of survivor's guilt.
So he lashed out the only way he knew how, beating people up.
But this wound began to heal when he found his calling, upon meeting a Shinigami named Rukia. To stop a powerful hollow, she gave Ichigo her powers, rousing unseen potential within.
Boom! Just like that, Ichigo's a Shinigami.
Substitute Shinigami. To carry out his duties, Ichigo sheds his body for an invisible one made of spiritual matter called Reishi. He can wield vast amounts of spiritual energy, called Ryoku, and exert it offensively in the form of spiritual pressure, or Reiatsu.
Okay, that's a lot of big words, but all it really means is he's a super-powered ghost with an epic sword. His spirit aura is so strong, it can stun-lock foes, crushing them under his own power, even fatally.
He controls spirit matter in and around him, hardening his skin for defense and leaping off of invisible footholds in the air. Paired with speed-boosting skills like Shunpo, he can virtually fly.
Say goodbye to the kid who beat up bullies for their lunch money, and hello to the town's new superhero, with fellow Ghostbusters, Orihime, Chad, and Uryu. Plus Rukia, it was the Shinigami's job to tear hollows a new hole.
While balancing responsibilities at school, of course. GPA comes first, and maybe a round or two of tech.
But it wouldn't be possible without his Shinigami blade, a Zanpakuto. It's basically a super-powered spirit that's physically a sword. Ghost Sword!
Though strangely, Ichigo's sword is composed of two distinct spirits, both named Zangetsu, which isn't confusing at all.
Just call him Old Man Zangetsu and Hollow Zangetsu. Anyway, the double Ghost Sword gives Ichigo lots of new moves, including his trademark attack, the Sword Beam to end all sword beams, Getsuga Tensho!
Getsuga Tensho is incredibly powerful, and so effective that Ichigo developed multiple variants. He can fire it as a wave, detonate it mid-attack to act as a barrier, and combine two at once into the even stronger Getsuga Jujisho.
To cut even the biggest hollows down to size, Ichigo was ridiculously strong, even from frame 1.
He can make giant shockwaves and parry spiritual light beams from a Menos Grande. And these aren't fake, slower-than-light lasers. Guidebooks confirm they're real light, and the novels say so too.
Plus, early on, Uryu moved so fast that he left his own shadow behind.
But as Ichigo became more involved with the Soul Society, he quickly found that he wasn't good enough.
This Byakuya guy's so fast, Ichigo can't even see him. Time for a good old-fashioned training arc. Hit the music!
Until now, Zangetsu had operated only in its base state, Shikai. So Ichigo learned to release its inner power, a 10 times boost that takes most Shinigami a decade to master. Bankai!
In Bankai, his speed skyrocketed, letting him turn the tables on douchebag Byakuya. Even in Shikai, he blocked an attack that could destroy the whole frickin' Soul Society.
Because Ichigo's greatest gift is his potential to improve. Despite only being a teenager, he mastered swordsmanship well enough to thrash experts who—
Wait a minute. At the beginning, they said he was 29. So at this point in time, he's a teenager when learning this. Okay.
training for centuries. He can quickly adapt to new weapons and styles mid-fight, surpassing his limits time and time again.
Like when he took on Catboy Grimjow. He was getting clamped, but as soon as he heard Orihime cheering him on, that was all he needed to smash that kitty.
You mean Grimjow, right?
Yeah, but even with that main character energy, Ichigo couldn't match Big Bad Aizen. With just a finger, Aizen stuffed Ichigo's Bankai and his theme song, Rude.
Ichigo needed to tap into his unexplained hollow power. Except Hollow Zangetsu wasn't going to make it easy.
Old Man Zang's pretty chill, but this guy's a menace.
Still, Ichigo needed his help and conjured a hollow mask to expand his power. But this meant the hollow within only grew stronger.
Masked up, he can fire lasers, bypass super senses, and heal lost limbs. But piss him off enough, and he'll go full hollow. And you really don't want that.
Hollowification exceeds even Bankai, and was enough to crush Ukiura in a battle that shook all of Hueco Mundo, the world of hollows.
Full hollow Ichigo could even tear through all 3 layers of hell.
But with help from his secret Shinigami father, Ichigo continued to train for months in the Dangai, a corridor between dimensions, until he was finally ready to challenge Aizen.
Challenge is an understatement. He manhandled Aizen, shattered mountains with sheer aura, and flexed so hard he smashed out of the black coffin, which crushes space like a mini black hole.
And yet, it still wasn't enough. So by becoming Getsuga itself, Ichigo unleashed his ultimate attack, Mugetsu, defeating Aizen at the cost of all his power.
He might have saved everyone, but now it was back to Normieville.
Ichigo never truly realized until then just how much being a Shinigami meant to him. The power to protect others, his drive, his pride in himself was gone. He would give anything to get it back.
And he did, thanks to a surprise assist from Rukia. Boom! Shinigami again!
Just in time for a 1,000-year blood war with a final endgame boss, Yhwach.
Who planned to end everything. And while other Shinigami tried their best, only Ichigo was special enough to pull it off.
His father was a Shinigami. His mother was a member of the ancient Quincy's and possessed by a hollow. Hence, his 2 Zanpakuto spirits, one Quincy, the other hollow and Shinigami, made Ichigo a perfect union to break Yhwach's plan. Finally, Ichigo understood himself, fully unifying with both Zanpakuto spirits within. With that came a new Shikai and 2 new Zanpakuto.
True Shikai! If you thought Ichigo was strong before, oh boy, he's the strongest Shinigami alive. They're dead. Undead? Yeah.
Stronger than Kenpachi, who could split the Dangai in half. Stronger than Senjumaru, who shook heaven and earth across the realms. And strong enough to match Yhwach, even after he absorbed the Soul King.
Juiced up with Soul King power, Yhwach could nuke all 3 realms. The human world, Soul Society, and Hueco Mundo, plus the Dangai and Garganta in between, which have a bunch of pocket dimensions sprinkled in. Hell, just the Soul King's corpse sent a shockwave across all the realms.
And it's not a matter of disrupting the flow of souls. Yhwach was going to end everything through sheer power alone.
But Ichigo still wasn't done powering up.
Entering a new half-hollow form and merging his Getsuga Tencho with a mighty hollow attack, the Gran Ray Sero.
Making a giant crescent slash that ripped through space itself.
All that power culminating in his true Bankai. A power so great, even Yhwach was scared of it.
Joke's on you! Ichigo didn't even need it! You're done!
Ichigo was finally content. And 10 years later, he remains a Shinigami, having found the courage to stand on the edge of life and death, conquer his fears, and walk onward.
Okay. Before we move on to Yusuke, how do we feel about Bleach and Ichigo after hearing that? I would say I never finished Bleach. I want to finish Bleach, but it's like extremely hard to find. I have no idea what it's on. But I didn't know a lot of this stuff about it. Now knowing this, it kind of makes me like got Ichigo winning this even more. Ichigo, in my opinion, is the second strongest of the big 3. I got Naruto, Ichigo, then Luffy. Okay, so after hearing all that, it still remains Naruto, number 1. But Naruto's not part of this, so let's stay on topic. But I still got Ichigo.
Teenagers have no idea what they want to do with their life. However, that was hardly a problem for juvenile delinquent Yusuke Urameshi, because he only ever wanted to do one thing.
Throw hands! It don't matter who the ops are, be they women, old folk, or babies, Yusuke lived to fight. It's what gave life meaning. Who cares about stupid things like friends and family?
Which is why it was so surprising when one day he threw himself in front of a speeding car to save a child, bringing that reckless life to a screeching halt.
Truck-kun claims another victim.
But this is chapter 1 of a battle shonen, so death is hardly the end.
Surprisingly, though, it wasn't a spooky skeleton in a hood who arrived to claim Yusuke's soul. It was a blue-haired anime girl on a broomstick.
This was Botan, whose job was to ferry Yusuke's newly deceased spirit off to the afterlife.
Unfortunately, or I guess fortunately for him, he was such an asshole that the underworld didn't see his selfless death coming and didn't have any space prepared for him. Imagine being such a menace to society that the second you do something nice, hell itself gets caught with its pants down.
So the underworld surrogate king, Koenma, offered Yusuke an alternative. He could return to life as an agent of the afterlife, a spirit detective, solving supernatural crimes and fighting off demonic threats to humanity.
Naturally, Yusuke did what anyone would do in that situation, and told Satan Jr. to stuff it! I mean, he was never really good for anything, and no one was gonna miss him, so what's the point of coming back to life? It's not like his mom would be sad, or his childhood sweetheart Keiko would be heartbroken, or even his rival Kuwabara would shed manly tears. Oh man.
At the sight of loved ones who cared far more than he ever expected, Yusuke had a change of heart and accepted Koenma's offer, returning to life with a new purpose and a new job.
And newfound ass-kicking ability. In his quest to beat the dog shit out of demonkind, Yusuke learned to harness Reiki, or spirit energy. He's ridiculously strong, fast, and durable, heals from wounds quickly, and can see spirits invisible to mortal men.
Even early on, Yusuke could parry Suzaku's lightning arrows, which are formed from real lightning called down from the sky. And with the help of legendary warrior Genkai, he mastered a signature move that could blast anyone to smithereens.
My favorite shonen move ever, the Spirit Gun! At first, Yusuke had a limited number of shots, but eventually he turned it into his personal WMD. Stronger than any weapon on Earth, he could go finger blasting around as much as he wants.
The spirit gun is more versatile than it appears. Yusuke can bounce it off surfaces for sneak attacks, propel himself around like a rocket in flight, and produce massive explosions with each shot.
He can twist it up for a spirit shotgun, a mighty AoE blast, or a spirit punch, where he keeps the energy stored in his fists and clobbers the hell out of you. And the spirit wave, a Kamehameha from before we uncultured Americans knew what a Kamehameha was.
Yusuke may be a punk, but he's deceptively skilled and cunning in battle.
He's not afraid to fight dirty, throwing his shoes, using sleight of hand to place cigarettes on his foe to track them in the dark.
Personally, I'd call that smart. And his hand-to-hand is A+. He's matched experts like Kabano, who's said to have mastered all forms of martial combat.
But his best secret is how quickly he improves. All it takes is a round of training or someone threatening his friends, and Yusuke's power will spike to match stronger enemies, even if it means literally burning through his own life force for a power-up.
All known demons and demon fighters are individually ranked on a scale of power from E to S.
E and D class demons are nothing special. We're talking local threats at best. C and B are getting a bit dicey in a destroy your city kind of way. A and S? Well, hold on to your ass. We're talking end of the world.
As Yusuke forged bonds with new allies, like demons Hiei and Kurama, as well as his old pal Kuwabara, he found himself facing opponents he couldn't beat, such as the monstrous Toguro, who could vaporize weaker demons and crush their souls with sheer aura.
But Yusuke needed to survive and protect his loved ones, so he had no choice but to rank up, even if it meant absorbing the power of a small star. Thanks, Genkai!
Our sun has an average luminosity of 380 septillion watts, or joules per second. Small stars like red dwarfs output about 1/10,000th of that. So this spirit orb's energy per second would equal about 9 million megatons of TNT.
Enough to send Toguro to the grave.
Even after pushing past his own limits, Yusuke would still need more power to face S-class threats like Sensui, a past spirit detective gone bad, and a great measuring stick for what top-tier demons are capable of.
Sensui was so yoked he couldn't even use all his power in the human world without threatening to bring down the whole thing. He compared destroying the whole goddamn planet to kicking an anthill.
According to Genkai, Yusuke could destroy the planet too, if he really wanted. And even A-class threats like King Enma have shaken both the demon and human worlds.
That Enema guy is strong as balls. In the past, he fought the Netherworld King Yakumo, who could eradicate the entire human world and remake the Netherworld.
But Yusuke's power surpassed both of them to the point where he overloaded Yakumo with his own energy. And do keep in mind, Yusuke was still only A class at the time, a far cry from S classes like Sensui, whose sacred energy was 10 times his superior.
But not for long, sucker, because turns out Yusuke was a demon himself.
Literally. Yusuke is the descendant of an ancient and incredibly powerful being, one of the strongest in existence, Raizen, the Demon King.
With his Mizoku mark, Yusuke can channel Raizen's spirit for a huge power boost and a massive thirst for murder boost. This was his first taste of a dangerous new type of spirit energy, Yoki.
A form of energy used by demons. Like normal Reiki, it can be amplified by intense emotions. Unlike normal Reiki, its use creates a pleasurable feeling, feeding into the user's rage and bloodlust, the feral animal within.
So Yusuke upgraded his spirit gun to a demon gun. It's the same thing, but red. Oh, and it's strong enough to blast Sensui past the horizon, putting Yusuke's power firmly in S class.
And making him a prime candidate to rule the demon world. But as he was thrust into a tournament vying for that throne, Yusuke began to wonder if all this power was what he really wanted.
Self-reflection? From I'll kick your ass, Yusuke Urameshi? Nah, we can worry about that later. There's a tournament to win. Which one of you, girl, baby, or grandparents is first?
Even then, as Yusuke took on the Demon King Yomi in an epic final battle, he was still growing. He had become far stronger than before, even achieving a unique version of the Mizoku form separate from Raizen's influence.
And a brand spanking new form of power. Kinda like Sensui's sacred energy, but even better. It's so unprecedented, it doesn't even have a name, but it's golden glowy.
Strong enough to clash with Yomi, creating an explosion that split the heavens above and decimated the Okunin tree below, pushing the Demon King himself to his absolute limits.
But then, Yusuke lost. It's not all bad though. Even if being king would have been cool, Yusuke realized he wanted something more. He'd grown up and chose to walk a new path.
It was always Yusuke's connections with others that motivated him above all else. And it was in those connections that he found his happy ending.
But I wouldn't piss him off if you can avoid it. Get him in the right mood or threaten the human world, and the spirit detective will beat your stupid ass.
Alright, y'all, before we get into the death battle, man, how do y'all feel about Yusuke? I have not watched the anime, but I will say that it looks very interesting, and I will be watching it after this video.
That's a demon.
That's hollow.
No doubt about it! Spirit gun! Getsuga Tensho! Chump change.
Reckless idiot!
What a baby! Little demon energy got you scared?
Nah.
This is nuts, y'all.
Getsuga Yujisho!
Two at once? Damn, why didn't I think of that?
Give in to me, Yusuke. Let's devour him together.
Hell no! This is my fight, jackass! You just told me back!
Yeesh, rude awakening. This one's a piece of work. Need a hand, partner?
Let's do it. Like old times.
On! Cut! Tensa! Kongetsu!
This is nuts, y'all.
Is that the best you can do? I can go even faster if you'd like. Hell yeah! Bring it on, asshole! I'll kill you even if it kills me! I'm putting it all on the line! You better do the same! Screw that!
Okay.
Give me a freaking break. See you on the other side.
Wow.
You, think the afterlife offers frequent flyer miles?
There's a lot to cover here, so let's break this down into 4 chapters, starting with their abilities.
Yusuke could see Ichigo no problem, and resist auras like Togoro's that are similar to Reiatsu, so Ichigo couldn't cheese a win right away.
Otherwise, Yusuke was outmatched. Sure, the Spirit Gun could potentially match the Getsuga Tensho, and he had stat-boosting forms like the Mizoku. Ichigo, however, had more varied powers, a better healing factor, greater stamina given his months of Dangai training.
And all those swords! He just had way more abilities to play with.
Likewise, speed was a fairly easy call. Yusuke could react to lightning early on, and obviously got much faster over time. Looking at this blast from his clash with Yomi, it erupted upwards at 57% the speed of light.
But Ichigo was faster than light from the start, and he's gotten faster too. He couldn't even see Byakuya at first, but blitzed him in the rematch. Plus, he's got tons of training and power-ups since then.
The Soul King Shockwave, for example, expanded across the realms at thousands of times light speed, and Ichigo reacted to attacks from Soul King Yhwach that utilized the same power. So, Ichigo takes speed. But Yusuke's fought plenty of foes faster and more varied than him, so it's extremely important to examine their tactics and ability to adapt mid-fight.
This is kinda both their things. Ichigo has styled on guys with centuries of training and has over a decade of experience as a Shinigami. He's pretty good at figuring out new weapons and styles.
Meanwhile, Yusuke was flexible and quick to adapt, mixing cleverness with exceptional hand-to-hand. He's good enough to match Kabano, who mastered every martial art. Ichigo's decent at hand-to-hand, but it's not his go-to in the same way.
So, both had their strong suits, with advantages on each side. It's fair to call this one a draw.
Leaving only the biggest winning factor, which could have superseded all other advantages: power.
Between Sensui, Genkai, and Enma, Yusuke could definitely destroy the planet. Examining his sky-splitting clash with Yomi and measuring its scale, that's about 4 quadrillion megatons of TNT, which is crazy.
Similarly, mid-series Ichigo could shake Huecomundo, tear through hell, and block attacks that could destroy the Soul Society. But at his peak, he beat Yhwach, who could destroy several realms, which is far more impressive than just one.
To be fair, Yusuke also beat Yakumo, who could threaten 2 realms at the same time, pretty close to Yhwach's threatening 3.
And Yusuke far surpassed Yakumo afterward. The gap between him and Sensui alone was 10 times. So there could be an argument for Yusuke's power surpassing Ichigo if 3 realms was truly Ichigo's limit.
Fortunately for Ichigo, it's not. Yhwach was also gonna destroy the Garganta, which has at least 29 pocket dimensions inside it.
Each containing at least a planet and star, much larger than Yusuke's planet-sized worlds. Plus, Ichigo matched Yhwach in True Shikai, without his additional boost from Half Hollow and True Bankai.
As always with Death Battle, there's arguments either way, but the way we see it, even being generous with Yusuke's power and conservative with Ichigo's, the gap was just too big, giving Ichigo the final edge. Sorry if things got
Ichigo
messy,
won
but
3.5
that's just how
to
Ichi
0.5.
goes.
The winner is Ichigo Kurosaki.
Man, I knew Ichigo was strong. I didn't know he was that strong. Yusuke, that was a tough battle. And I feel like that really did come down to the wire, bro. I wasn't surprised about the win, given the fact that I did have Ichigo going into it. But it was a lot closer than I thought. Well, was it really? Because if you look at the 4 determining factors, Ichigo won every single one. So it's like, what really made it a fight, you know? But it was very interesting, man. I'm more interested to tap into more Death Battle to see what potential matchups we may get again in the future. Let me know how y'all feel about this video. Like, comment, subscribe. Go show some love to these boys over there at Death Battle. Link will be in the description, but you already know what I'm finna say. Like, comment, subscribe. Go share this video with your family members, man, if you haven't, and go watch some more of that great content that's on the channel right now. And with all that being said, you know you're gonna see me again. So like always, peace.
He lives it.